Here is Secretary of State Antony Blinken on the issue of China.
We want China's economy to grow. So do the American businesses and investors here. But the way China grows matters. As I told my counterparts, that means fostering a healthy economic relationship where American workers and firms are treated equally and fairly.
Now, talking about China and the economy, Mr. Chairman, the Select Committee has found that some American financial institutions are funneling billions of dollars to China, and some of that money, a lot of it, is being used for military capabilities for China.
Well, you have to realize China is undergoing a massive arms buildup. They are subsidizing the fentanyl that's coming across and killing American citizens. They're spying, they're doing all sorts of nefarious activities, and the Chinese Communist Party is directly responsible for this. So whereas we love the Chinese people, we want a good relationship with all nations, but this cannot continue, and it is not a fair relationship when it comes to economics as well. And so we have a lot of work to do, and that's what our committee is doing in a very bipartisan way, and I'm really pleased to work with Raja Krishnamoorthi in this role.
Yeah, and Congressman Krishnamoorthi, the report recommendations, you have a couple of things. Restrict investment in blacklisted Chinese companies and subsidiaries, require public companies to disclose key risks related to the PRC, ensure U.S. financial system resilience to PRC market uncertainty. It seems like a kind of a heavy lift with all these companies doing their own things with China.
That's right. But on the other hand, I think that our constituents, stakeholders, the American public doesn't want investments going toward modernizing the People's Liberation Army. They also don't want our investments fueling the perpetration of human rights abuses. You know, some of these companies are participating, for instance, in the Uyghur genocide in Xinjiang province in the northwest region of China. And so given that there is a working group right now looking at this particular issue, I'm hopeful that we can fashion a bipartisan proposal on this, just like we did with TikTok last week, that has now become the law of the land. But it's going to require a lot of stakeholders coming together and making sure that we do this in a way that is consistent with our values at the same time that we don't cause massive disruption in the markets.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, you mentioned the fentanyl issue in China funneling some of the substances in Mexico. Hearing recently on international narcotics control mentioned that. Take a listen.
Criminals based in the People's Republic of China have emerged as the professional money launderers of choice for Mexican drug traffickers seeking to move their funds around the world. The DEA has witnessed the evolving trend of Chinese money laundering organizations becoming the prominent criminal groups, collaborating with the Sinaloa and Jalisco cartels to launder their dirty money.
I mean, at what point is that almost an act of war, Mr. Chairman, in attacking the U.S.? Is the administration doing enough to speak out about this particular action?
I think it's got to be front and center. You know, when President Biden met with President Xi, they talked about fentanyl, and President Xi said that they wanted to cooperate. Well, in this report that we had, we learned that they're actually, through their tax policy, incentivizing the production of fentanyl precursors that are going to Mexico and coming across our southern border. So it's not simply they're an organized crime problem. It's not simply that they're turning a blind eye. They are actually subsidizing the death that's occurring over 100,000 people, Americans, a year. And this is simply not acceptable. It should be front and center with these discussions, or we cannot simply accept that Xi Jinping is trying to collaborate and work on this problem. He needs to show concrete actions.
Yeah. Well, thank you both for talking about this. I know you're working bipartisan efforts on this particular issue.